every year we photograph their growing family, and there's books and wall art. And now, and we're also photographing her business and doing headshots and whatnot. So it's like, that is a continuous big sale. And we use Fundy for all of it.
Hey friends, we are back with another episode of Success by Design with yours truly, Michael T. Davis. And we just have a stellar couple right here, duo, Jos and Tree. You guys are absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to talk with you. So Jos and Tree have been world-class photographers since 2004. Like, oh my goodness. I graduated high school in 2003. So you guys have been doing this for amazingly long time, has all the awards, has spoken at the major conferences, hosts workshops, both national and international, coaching platform, commercial brand. And one of the things that I really love about Jos and Tree, which we're really going to get into, is their ability to focus on the moments, their ability to see people for not only people, but the emotions between them and breathe, and how that translates into their work and why they're so good. So Jos and Tree, thank you for being here. Go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Okay, so we like to call Jos no H because it's almost impossible for some people to say Jos if they have a Josh in their life. So
Got
we call
you.
this guy no H.
Got you.
We joke around with it.
Yeah, and it's really hard if you're in the same room with a Josh. It's like Josh. Yeah, but I'm Tree and this is Jos, no H.
Yeah, and oh wow, I started traveling Europe back right out of college, and I just dove right into Europe with a camera. And at first time I did it for 6 months, and I was going back to in Portland here in the dark room and just developing all this stuff all the time. And then the digital age came around, and I kind of leapfrogging here, but I had a mentor at the time over in Hawaii, who I grabbed a hold of, and he took me into his studio. I literally walked in his front door, and he goes, I have never done this for anyone yet, but I believe in you, and I'm going to share what I know with you.
Well, and you had just bought a new camera.
And I just bought the new latest and greatest Canon digital SLR camera. And oh my God, he downloaded so much to me, and he changed my life. And I guess I'm bringing up that point because
that was 2004.
That was 2004, and the power of a mentor and the power of education, I think, is the number one thing that any of us could ever hold on to or take hold of and embrace to really excel and grow as a photographer and a person.
Yeah. And so then I met Jos at the end of 2008 at a wedding, but he was the best man. He was not the photographer. And then we fell in love. It was this whole thing. And I lived in California and he lived in Oregon. And eventually we ended up in Argentina on a trip. Like, we called our 7th date. And he handed me his brand new, well, at that time he had a brand new camera.
5D Mark IV.
Yeah. And he handed it to me, and I had always been the amateur documenter, I would say. I always had like a little point and shoot with my friend group and my family. But this is the first time that I really held a professional camera in my hand. And I was taking headshots of him and recording him for his new website. And that was my first intro, and I loved it.
Gotcha.
And that's how that continued. So I started assisting. So essentially Jos was my mentor from the beginning, from the moment we met. And then he started taking me with him, and I started assisting, and then we going to WPPI, and like I just sort of dove in.
Yeah, and what I recognized in Tree is that she had all these just outstanding people skills, right? She could just connect and totally like she's like the lioness of a party, you know. Everyone just like completely gravitates to her, and then she shines more in that whole thing. And so I'm like, wow, you know, like, so teaching her the technical skills and then combining the people skills is a perfect match.
I love it. I love it. So I'm curious. You picked up your camera. Tree, you had a camera in your hand that Josh gave you. That Josh, I'm gonna get this
I
right.
know. See, no wait.
Right? That Josh gave you, and you could photograph anything. So how did the weddings and the storytelling come in that like now this is your career path?
Well, Joss had started. So your mentor, Lou, did so his studio did weddings
Oh,
and
yeah.
did commercial
Yes.
headshots. Like he just did all of the things, I would say. And you decided to go down the wedding route.
Yes.
You
Yes.
That was like a conscious decision
Oh,
that
yeah.
you made. So when I met him, he was actually he had a business partner and they were splitting up right when I met. So it was actually really good timing. But why did you choose weddings?
Well, I wanted to, I wanted to be around really positive energy with my work. And I knew that inherently inside of me, I have a really positive nature about myself. And I know that if by being around it more, it would just exemplify that more within me. And so, and I loved relationships. And I also loved communication because I studied communication and theater in college. And so when I was around people communicating who are in love and have all this positive energy and seeing their families and the layers of the stories that are all in the generations that being passed through those families that are getting, coming together for this marriage, I thought it was just like this perfect opportunity for telling a story.
And you like the romantic, like it's romantic. Like you have this
Yeah,
element to you.
yeah.
Um,
I'm a romantic.
he's a romantic. And so that's what his industry was when I met him.
Mhm.
And I just sort of went along with it because why not? And then we were traveling and I started to see why he gravitated towards it. Because it was what we call a marketplace for emotion and connection and
Mhm.
humanity. And we love that. Gradually over these years, I have convinced us to do less weddings and, you know, shift our focus a bit and still tell stories, but for small businesses and do
Mhm.
branding work. Um, and now we work with less clients because we're doing multi-day events and
Yeah.
Yeah, so now our weddings have more evolved into like these multi-day experiences, usually 3 days
Mhm.
or sometimes more,
Okay.
where we go to like, some big, really interesting destination wedding spots. And
Or even
or
here.
the, it could be small too. But the couple to us is really important, that they kind of vibe with us and that we vibe with them.
And
Mhm.
they trust
And they
us.
trust us, and they're also open to diving deep into a really good relationship and conversation, so that by the time we arrive into the wedding, we're friends,
With
with
cameras.
cameras,
Mhm.
and we understand their chemistry and their dynamic and their story and what's most important to them. And then basically we just celebrate them.
Yeah.
We just celebrate them and
And support
photograph them
them.
and
Support
support
and
them.
celebrate. Yeah, them and their people.
Yeah.
And so we are having more access, I would say. We have more time with them and we have more access. There's a lot of hours of us just carrying our camera around on those days, where we're not counting hours
Yeah.
and we're waiting for the moments to happen, I would
And you know
say.
what? And I found in my own career, once I stopped counting hours
Mm,
and then just built something that was, able to just be present and tell the story. And I wasn't watching my clock anymore.
yeah,
It
yeah,
opened me up to new experiences. So I completely get that.
yeah, yeah.
That's where your
So
best work comes. Moments come in an organic way. They come in their own timing.
that's what we always tell our clients.
Yeah,
We can't put a schedule on moments.
yeah. So, Jo- Joss, you started out in film, is that correct?
I did.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so going from film to digital to mirrorless to AI, like seeing all these changing technologies, lighting, all this stuff. How do you stay grounded in what matters most, which the central theme that I hear with you
Mm,
guys are those moments, regardless of the generation, regardless of the age and the changing technologies. How do you keep that core?
Mm.
Well, for many years, as we age,
You mean evolve?
as we evolve, I've always had a really big practice in yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And for me as a photographer, the physicality of the acrobatic crusade of a photographer
The way we do it.
is massive, right? Like, gosh, we shot this wedding in Almaty last summer, and we shot 30,000 photos between all of us over, 3
Wow.
days. But it's a lot of photos, there's a
Yeah.
lot of running around and, running up and down cobblestone streets and
Mm-hmm.
In the heat.
in the heat and in a foreign country where, the like language, there's a language psychology to the language also in that process. But I think, for me, like the breath and the movement of your body and your spirit and your mind is really important. Like for example, like yoga, you know, I oftentimes tell myself slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Which
And
is
so
hard for me.
sometimes I think it's a photographer to try to like really race after the photo, but if you slow down, you can get
Mm-hmm.
to the photo faster.
Yeah.
This
And
is like
people also mirror you,
my
Yeah.
right?
mantra.
They mirror you. They mirror your energy.
Yeah.
So if you're calm and romantic and imaginative, they kind of reflect that back to you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
I end up being way more like balanced and calm on a wedding day than I am in my normal life. I'm called the hummingbird normally, but
Mm-hmm.
on a wedding day, I'm way more grounded, I would say. And also like the whole reason why we're there, we stay in that place, and
Mm-hmm.
it's to document for our couple and for the future generations. So it's like if you just stay focused in that world, I feel, and breath is part of that, but yeah, it's like multi-layered, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and oftentimes for a while we were just reacting to photos, which can work good,
Mm-hmm.
but I think
Mm-hmm.
anticipating the reaction to the reaction
Yeah.
Mhm.
can really you can get to the photo faster that way and have more success with it. But ultimately, just I think what really keeps us grounded is really understanding the story of the couple that we're dealing with, right?
Because they're all
Who
different.
they are and what it means to them. It's not just the award-winning photos and all this stuff. It's ultimately the best reward is how the feeling the experience that we support them through and witness and bring back to their lives, and how they then give that back to us. And it's
Yeah.
super powerful. It's a huge, massive effort. No
I love
doubt
it.
about it.
And
Oftentimes you're so exhausted, but at the end, the golden nuggets that come out of that are timeless. You
yeah.
know?
I think this is like a masterclass on mindset and mindfulness, right? Because, and you probably, you've taught a whole lot of photographers. I just started, my own education journey and coaching. And a lot of people ask me, how do you be more intentional and things like that? And I'm like, slow down. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
slow
Yeah.
down, and then you start to see the world differently. So I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you brought that in, especially with, I start out in film. And so I remember having a notebook and writing down all of those, those settings, and then having my film process and getting it back and seeing. And because I had to pay for it, I was so intentional about
Yeah.
every frame that I took. And that
Oh,
and that transfers into my work currently about waiting for the moments and watching the people and slowing down and not just shoot, 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 shoot. So I'm
Yes.
so glad that you brought that up.
Yeah. I mean, we still take a heap of photos because and because we can, it's digital, and we can photograph the major arc of moments. And then it's always like, keep that camera up to your face because you think the moment's over. And now it's the after moment,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's intentionally taking a lot of
Yes.
photos, especially when there's multiple people involved because of framing and composition. And yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The timing between this and this
Yeah.
can be a fraction of a second, which can be the moment that you're actually looking for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's not easy to always be looking through that lens all the time,
Yeah.
right?
No, I get it. Awesome. I love this. And especially because a lot of people, when they're just like, hey, how do I get better? They don't want to know philosophy, right? They don't want to know, how to understand people and spaces and the psychology. And that's what's most important. Like you said, what
It is.
keeps you grounded is connecting to the people that are right in front of you.
Yes. Yes. And like,
Right.
being a lover of people is really almost like a prerequisite for this job. If you're jaded and you don't like people, this is going to
Yeah.
be tough. We got to fall in love with our couples.
Yeah, because those gestures that they have are, reflect the chemistry and the personality, the
Mhm.
characters. They're there, and so when you fall in love with them, you become really curious to dive deep into those subtle things that are happening right in front of you that tell the story, particularly of who they are, uniquely who they are. Right?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a whole nother theme by itself.
I know.
Curiosity, right? When you said curious, I was like buzzword. I was like, that's a whole nother defining trait of what makes you both amazing is always being curious. Absolutely love it. So I would love to hear for you to share with us a particular memorable or challenging moment that you've had at a wedding or a photo session, and how you work through that.
Man,
Do you think? I think you should tell about Ashley and Ali's wedding
Oh my God.
and how it was gonna be like in Oregon. September's gorgeous. It's like one of the best months.
Okay.
The sun has dropped a little bit. It's not as hot. It gets hot here. Don't tell anyone. And it's just like stunning. But occasionally, these random storms come in that remind us winter is coming.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I feel like, being a wedding photographer in Oregon is kind of like is a nonstop boot camp,
Mm.
right? Because the weather's just constantly I mean, we've had hail come at us in the middle of a ceremony. I remember the hail bouncing off my camera as the bride and groom are walking in, and then all of a sudden it bursts into this crazy, extreme, dark and hot light all at once. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we get it all in one day, but instead on that one,
Well, this particular wedding, okay, so Ashley and Ollie, Ashley was a wedding planner and is a
Mhm.
wedding planner, right?
Yeah.
So right there out of the chute, it's like, oh man, it's like it suddenly feels like another level of expectation, right? They were dealing with because her level of awareness is huge. So here we are, we're at the base of Mount Hood, and they had planned this whole outside wedding, and it was going to be gorgeous because you could see you could see
ceremony,
all the mountains in the distance and all this stuff.
super beautiful.
Super beautiful, and all of a sudden, bam! It starts pouring down partial slushy rain,
Wow.
right?
Like all day.
Like slush and rain coming from every angle,
And
you're
it's
like-
not stopping.
And she's, we've been shooting her getting ready, and then anyway, at one point she comes up to me, and she's like, "What are we gonna do? Like, just be honest with me, Jos. What do you think?"
Yeah.
The ceremony, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the option was either outside with crazy rain or inside in this orange, ugly conference room
Horrible room.
to have the ceremony, right?
Not her dream at all.
Yeah.
Not yours either.
And I'm just like, to be honest, it's all about the moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can take you out of these gorgeous backdrops later, but for the ceremony, it's probably best to be inside. Even though against my will, I would actually venture going out into the rain because of the possibility of just the drama. But
With the umbrellas and the whole
but
thing.
in this case, we decided no, let's go inside, and we're going to use our lights, and we're going to make it all about the emotion of this experience. And it was crazy emotional, like just tears are just pouring. And we did more tight shots, and we got dramatic angles of light using Magma tools.
Yeah.
Get all these really dramatic angles of light coming in on
And
that.
there was candlelight.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
beautiful.
It was just so gorgeous.
And then the focus was on them. And
they were hugely emotional people.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
just bawling everyone, and that was
It was beautiful.
That was what the ceremony was all about. And so making that was a challenging moment for us to like, we're going to really do this, orange conference
You
room
also forgot
ceremony,
to mention that our assistant had taken the camera out earlier and it had stopped working because he didn't put any of the protective
Oh
stuff on the
no.
camera. And so
So that camera was already halfway not working.
yeah, there was like a lot of other
Mm-hmm.
stuff besides just that going
Right.
on.
And so then after the ceremony, we went out into the rain and I did some crazy stuff in the rain, which meant that my camera started halfway working.
Yeah.
So now we have two halfway camera working. And the challenging point to answer your question is that we went from that outside rain shoot into the reception, which
With
was the
first
first
dance.
dances, and then right into the speeches and that whole series of things that happened. And I remember having this, like I had to like let go of my one camera and then working with the other camera where it was like shooting every other fourth effort. And I was
Mm-hmm.
using these candles in front of me to shoot through the candles and then on the first dance and just breathing into the moment and
Yeah.
trusting that all I needed was to get that one shot. And I got it. And it was such a mind, mess for me because I never had a camera that had completely failed and a partially failing camera in the middle of such an intense moment.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I was not there. I was attending a family friend's wedding. And so we
Mm-hmm.
had our second shooter and an assistant. And so a lot of pressure was on Joss,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
that's the difference if we're there together is, we can like share all of that intensity and stress and pressure. And instead it was like,
But then, of course, we took him out into the hot tub at the end of the night and got this really crazy photo of them in the hot tub, all their
oh my
friends,
God, they jumped in the
and the
pool.
grandparents were in the foreground with the rain, with the umbrella. We
Oh.
shot through them and got this really cool photo. Anyway, it worked out, and I think a lot of it had to do with mindset and just being
Yeah.
persistent and keep problem solving the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as I'm listening to your story, I'm reminded of all the new photographers that come to you and are probably like, let me second shoot with you, or let me, learn under you, or, things of that sort.
Yeah.
And I'm just like when you go into these spaces, your gear has to be secondary. Like even sometimes tertiary, like you need to be so present. And I tell photographers, I'm like, hey, why don't you just watch? Like just watch and learn from people before you want to pick up your gear. Because if you're fumbling with that stuff, like you were saying, you guys know what you're doing, but you're talking about one camera's dead, two more are dying, like it's raining every fourth shot, and you still have to show up for your clients.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that those are the scenarios that you can really tell I think that's where you separate the difference between someone whose friend is going to photograph their wedding and it's their first wedding they've ever shot. And like, if you get those challenging scenarios, I would be so concerned. Like, yes, some people can totally rise and figure it out. But if you don't have enough experience photographing a wedding or a massive event with multiple complex things going on, it's really hard to then deliver what you should be able to deliver to the client or your friend.
Yep. And we've seen the horror stories, the Facebook posts, the TikTok stuff. So like, you are spot on.
Yeah.
And that's also why we work in teams, right? So, we can divide and conquer and shoot from multiple angles and simultaneously during for example, the ceremony and stuff. But if there's like something really intense going on, we all then work together as a team to get that one photo, right? So there's like the photographer and like maybe two lighting assistants working with that photographer at the same time, getting the creative lighting, helping to increase the probability of that one really unique, powerful photo.
Yeah, and we reverse that role all the time. Yeah. 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 The teams are
now one of the amazing things that you guys both do is that you don't just end on the wedding day, right? We transition this into actual wall art and
Yeah.
actual albums.
Yeah.
When did that start, and where did that shift from, just taking photos to actually having it in their hands come from? And then how has Fundy helped you along that process?
Well, I will
Yeah.
just say that when you had your business with your partner, you guys did a lot of product sales.
Yeah, we did.
And then when I met Joss, it was the recession. Things really shifted to digital then. And it was weird. That shift was odd. And gradually we came out of that. And I was more involved and we were going to a lot of conferences and we came back to product. And it was just like this short amount of time, but everybody was like, do I get the digital? It was all about
Mm-hmm.
digital.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had to really educate our clients. And shortly around that time is when we first met Fundy, actually. And so for us, we love print. And we're, we have like books everywhere. We have our wedding album right over here. We have this wall art from when Joss proposed. Like, we believe in it.
Yeah,
And so,
right at sunset there.
Love it.
That was my best friend that actually shot that. I taught him how to use my camera
Oh,
as I
beautiful.
walked in tree down to this area to propose to her on the ocean of in Cinque Terre, Italy.
okay, back
Anyway.
to the product. Yeah.
But
So-
no, but that's I mean, that segment right there, it's so important as to why print matters, right? Is the
Yeah.
fact that, the images in our phone, we can look through those every day and we get more and more and more images and we forget about them. And you
Yep.
just tilted up the camera and then shared this entire moment and the
Yeah.
emotions. And
Yeah.
you could basically narrate a whole picture as to everything that happened that day from that one image.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Totally.
And our clients are definitely on board. Like, so funny. Sometimes our clients will ask us the question about product before we even get to talk, like educate them about it, because that's what they believe in as
Mhm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
And we just always say, yes, digital is great. Digital is great. It's wonderful to be able to share a link to your gallery with your aunt who couldn't make it to the wedding, or your aunt who was at the wedding, or whatever the story is. But we make that part important this big, and then we make all of this, the wall art and the album and the stories that your loved ones are going to tell you when they come over and they see it hanging on the wall, or you're showing them, your wedding album, and they are so into it. So it's not hard for us because our clients are already there. It's, for some reason, they're coming to us because they're attracted to moments, and those moments they want printed. It's like it all goes together, really.
Yeah.
And when you hand them an album physically, and they can feel that album in their hands, and they suddenly notice the difference between the experience of looking at a digital image and a physical image. And to us, looking at something digital, it kind of has this like association with business. Whereas when you see a printed image, it's more of a romantic feeling.
And then there's
And
science
that's how you want
behind
to
it.
associate your relationship.
I love
Yeah.
it.
And there's science behind it. Like, you look at like 9 points or 10 points when you're holding something tangible. Whereas digitally, I think it's just like 3. You're like, done. Also, yeah, there's so many reasons. So we were very happy when that like little recession digital blip thing
Mm-hmm.
was over,
Mm-hmm.
and we got back to print.
And you know what?
Gotcha.
I was a disgruntled album designer before Fundy.
Oh yeah, when I first met
Because
Joss.
I was designing everything in Photoshop
Oh,
from scratch.
Guilty.
horrible.
That was a time-consuming, painful process.
Yeah.
And me being a romantic, I would just dive in and just do it until I almost burn out. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I'm
This
hitting
is
a
not
wall here.
profitable.
This is not profitable. This is not healthy. And then Fundy comes along. It's like, hey, you can make an album in one click. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was a huge game changer for us. Yeah. Huge.
Not to mention all the brainstorming of all the different ways in which you can arrange photos.
Yeah.
just incredible.
Yeah, and it's just like every update, it's just like constantly evolving, constantly getting better, and now there's even more.
Not to mention going to the Fundy parties at WPPI.
Yeah,
Yes, I luckily enough I was able to experience my first Fundy party. So that
this
was
last year.
yeah, last year.
Oh,
That was like absolutely amazing. So I was like now I know what I've been missing out on my entire life.
I know. We were sad to not be there, but we were teaching a workshop in Mexico, so it was okay.
Yeah.
But
You know what's interesting, Joss, as you were talking about, doing this in Photoshop, like it's so traumatic,
yeah,
like going back into myself designing albums in Photoshop and doing it while one son is at karate and another son wants me to read him a book, but I still have to, build this album for my
oh,
clients and I still have
yeah,
to work and like you're right, like income's a tool. And when we talk about, software that really just helps our business,
yes,
income's a tool that just changes the way we do everything.
yes, yes. I mean, it transformed, and we had an assistant at the time, or who basically handled all of it, and it was incredible. Now we still believe in having a design team. I still do it, but we have a design team because we want our clients to have the best experience
Yeah.
possible. And if we're traveling, like it's really hard with our travel schedule to like have consults and do
Mm-hmm.
design, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But
But we're educating them,
from
and
the
setting
moment,
the design team up for success by educating our
hmm
client along the way about the value of print.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then especially when we can, when our design team can present an album and then adjust all those things right on the fly in the middle of the sale.
I
Super
know.
powerful.
And then I have to say one of my favorite, besides the album designer, my favorite is the wall art piece. It's like I get to tell my clients to send me a photo. It's like being able to see your living room painted the color you were thinking about painting it
Mm-hmm.
and actually see it before you paint it and realize, oh, that's not a very good color. We shouldn't do that. And for them, they to see dimension and just to see how it's going to look. And sometimes they don't even send me a photo of the wall they want to put on, and I use one of the rooms that are available, and it is just incredible. I feel like selling wall art, I don't know how it would take so much effort to sell wall art without Fundy. It is
Gotcha.
it is like a key for us, and obviously the album designer, we probably wouldn't make albums if
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have it. Um, and then I'm loving the new Proofer platform. It is just lovely and cohesive, like it just having it all connected and having your branding there. The clients love it too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, been really loving that lately.
I would love for you to walk me along this journey of either your most memorable or your biggest sale using Fundy and what that experience was like for both you and the client.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, this one client we had,
Have.
still have, yeah, is from LA, but she was from Peru, and she married a Bulgarian semi-famous tennis player, and they invited us to go photograph their wedding in Lima, Peru. And we also went up to Machu Picchu and Huayna Picchu and
In
and it's
Cusco.
in Cusco, and oh my God, it's become this massive, amazing destination wedding multi-day experience that we photographed and built and bonded with them and all their friends. And the cool thing about this is that it evolved into that wedding then evolved to them being a commercial client for us.
She has a business, and so what Jos is saying is this one couple is still our client. We made a 2-volume wedding book because it was Lima and then Cusco and Machu Picchu.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that often for our destination clients because there's usually so much involved, and it's like, yeah, you want the wedding here and then you want the other stuff and
Yeah.
the other volume. And then wall art, like they have a piece that's larger than this from Cusco that
Several of them.
yeah, they actually have several. And what I'm getting at is that every year we photograph they're a growing family, and there's books and wall art. And now, and we're also photographing her business and doing headshots and whatnot. So it's like, that is a continuous big sale. And we use Fundy for all of it. Like, we were just there 2 months ago, and I took photos of the walls I know she's going to want to put the family wall art on, so that I can put it into Fundy, so I can really show her what it's going to look like. And it's just, she loves that experience, and being able to do this work with a client that's in LA and have a video call and be able to work on this together, it is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah, and every time we meet with them, you know, the stories and the experiences that we've had with them just keep layering and layering and layering and getting better and better and better.
And the girls know us and remember us now. It's like, this is an ongoing long-term relationship.
Yeah. They're not a customer, they're a lifetime client.
And they're dear people, and we adore them. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And so on this topic about software that improves our productivity and our workflow, you guys know that Fundy has come out with a new product, the social design app. And so, Jos, I know you had time to play around with it. And Tree, you've seen it and know about it. So tell me, how do you incorporate it, or, you know, intend to incorporate it in your social media workflow overall?
Yeah. Well, you know, the design app is such a brilliant concept. First of all,
Social design.
design. I mean, it's just like I think every photographer out there knows how social media is becoming more and more and more demanding of our time. And it is a massive pain point unless you just go hire a whole different team to deal with that. If you're a solo photographer, or even just, you know, with a dynamic duo like Tree and I, it's still a big weight. So Tree looks at me like, what are you doing, Jos? What are you on your phone? Like, oh, I'm just finishing this social post here, you know, like I'm just, you know, like, hold on, you know.
Yeah.
It becomes this tension point, and having a social design app like the way Fundy's created has saved me so much time, and it's only getting better, you know, and it simplifies everything, you know. And so now I can start thinking more about the imagery and the message I want, as opposed to like
how it's going to look,
researching and all the other hashtags and the design of how I want to put it all together, and having that become a distraction, and it just makes it just simplifies everything, and it's so brilliant. And you can do it on the fly like that too. And I'm just feel so fortunate that we were some of the first ones that heard about it.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, I'm excited because I don't normally handle the social media element. I have other jobs. And I feel like with the app, I can then step in easily, or we could have an assistant who could easily step in and use it for us. And I think prior to that, it's challenging. Yeah. So I'm excited to play around with it.
Beautiful. Awesome. So I have 2 more questions before we jump into my favorite segment, which is the rapid fire. So the first one is for both of you, who has been your greatest influence or mentor in the industry, and what one lesson have you probably learned from that person or a group of people?
Well, as I mentioned, Jos has been my mentor, I would say, the most and consistently, in like all aspects, like handing me my first camera and teaching me the tech stuff, but also the mindset stuff. And then the Mans, 2-man, Erica and Lanny Mann, for me, over the years. Yeah.
It's kind of a combination of everything. I mean, like, I used to hang out with Joe Busnick, you know, and I met Dennis Reggie back in the day, you know,
And Joe McNally. We've just had the opportunity to study with so many incredible,
and the Christmas, you know, like, and so many from all the conferences that we've been.
We can't pick favorites.
There's not favorite. It's just kind of a combination, and a lot of us overlap each other too. It's like maybe the Chrismans will say something, and then the Mans will pick it up, and then the Mans reinforce it, and then oh, well, that was actually a concept that actually Joe Busnick talked about. And, like, it's just like, it's all like this collective mentorship that I think that we've
Mm,
experienced. But I think if I was to point out somebody more current that has had a massive impact on us is Dave Moss.
mm,
That guy
coaching.
is our business coach. And
Yeah.
I know
Uh-huh.
he coaches the Mans too.
Uh-huh.
And that guy is so like full of like so much technical and conceptual knowledge, and so fast and so well read and so compassionate and so kind.
And
You
it's,
don't run into somebody who's kind and super smart and nerdy, and,
Yeah,
and creative and,
yeah.
and poetic. You don't run into those type of people every day.
well, and it's nice being a husband and wife team to have outside perspective and to just like, push us. Yeah. So that would be current, I guess.
Yeah. You know,
Fundy's been an amazing
Oh man.
friend and colleague and partner, I would say.
Yeah, Fundy
Yeah.
has a really good crystal ball wisdom, clairvoyance about him sometimes, like it's like, we'll come to him with a situation, he'll kind of laugh a little bit, and then he'll just like give a one-liner, and you're like, oh my God, how did you solve that all in one sentence?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I love it. And you know
Yeah.
what? The takeaway from both of your responses is that you're never too old in life or in the industry to learn from people.
Yeah.
Like
No.
you just had a Rolodex of people that you're
Student.
just like soaking up information, whether it's through paid mentorship or talking at a conference, and that's what, the takeaway that I want for people who are listening is like the knowledge at any age. Like you're always, if you're eager to learn, you're gonna win, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Stay curious and
Yeah.
always be a student
Be
in
a
life.
lifelong student,
Yeah.
hands down.
In all things. Yeah.
And that keeps you young and excited and creative, and like kind of like that, like a little bit of the butterflies, but you can get your butterflies to fly in formation. That's when you're a really good sweet spot. You don't want to ever relax too
Yeah,
much and become lazy, and
yeah,
you got to be on the cutting edge.
yeah.
And it
Awesome.
means
So,
taking risks and failing a lot.
I
Yeah.
love it. And so, final question for you: what skills or qualities do you think is essential for anybody to be successful in this field?
Oh man.
I think I mentioned it earlier, but you really need to be a people lover and love connection in relationship. I think that's a very important one. And just be a good human and help other humans be good humans. Um, which is being kind and thoughtful, um, and supportive. Yeah.
I think, yeah, open to share with other people is,
Mhm.
uh, at first it feels like, oh, I'm going to give away my best secrets. But
Mhm.
what people end up doing is they end up sharing their best secrets back with you.
Ah,
And that's like, whoa,
Mhm.
that's an interesting phenomenon that
uh-huh.
happens.
Because you can always learn something from someone else. Always, every time. And speaking of that, I would say going back to that education piece and being a student, constantly keep learning and it's important to learn the skill of photography and like push yourself and try new things. And it's also really important to know business and also study that and maybe outsource the things that are your weaknesses and you're not very good at,
Yeah.
to be successful. I think that's a very important part of this, that, bring that other person in. If you just want to be the creative, you got to have someone else there who's doing the business part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Awesome.
last thing, hands down, uh, hard work beats talent, really. Like if you are just working hard and you're asking lots of questions and trying new things, you're going to be so intimately involved with the tools you're using, and you're going to probably discover subtle things about those tools that nobody else even knows, because you've working so hard through all these problem solving processes. that mindset alone will give you a treasure of information.
Mm. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. So this is my favorite segment, rapid fire. So I hope you guys are ready. So we're doing this one with a twist. I'm going to ask the question and I want your response to be what you think your partner would say about
Okay.
you. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to do a softball question first. If your life was a story, what would it be titled? So Jos, what do you think Tree's life would be titled? And Tree, what do you think Jos' life would be titled?
Okay, you go first.
Uh, 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 an explosive, dragon on a rainbow.
Wow. I would say the teacher's always a student. I don't know.
Ooh,
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, next question. What is your favorite travel destination for photography? Work or pleasure?
Anywhere in the world?
Anywhere in the world.
I mean, there's a lot of places I haven't been. I like the places I've been.
So
I
you're
always
answering this for Jos.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
yes,
Oh, your
yes.
favorite. Sorry, ask me the question.
What is your favorite travel destination for photography, whether it's work or pleasure?
I think you've loved Europe. Yes, Europe.
Bali.
Oh, Bali, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Awesome. What's your favorite lens to shoot with?
Ooh, favorite. Your favorite? 85.
16 to 35.
For
Awesome.
me?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think we actually answered each other's. The answer was for each other, not
Yeah,
one another.
We're not good at this game.
No, you do it absolutely fine. You're doing absolutely fine. What time of the day are you most inspired?
Ooh. Morning and night?
I'm answering.
Oh,
you're
oh,
answering
yeah.
me.
We'll get it. She'll get it.
Morning.
Late night, evening.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. A few more questions. If you could win an Olympic medal, Olympic gold medal in anything, what would it be?
Olympic gold medal. Skiing.
Olympic gold medal, so it has to be athletic, because I mean the gold medals are the.
Do they have roller skating yet?
Oh, definitely roller skating would be true. Yeah, or ice skating maybe.
Awesome.
Maybe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you could uninvent something, what would it be?
Oh.
Ooh.
Uninvent?
Uninvent.
Electricity.
For me.
Oh, sorry.
Electricity.
Well, everything started going downhill.
I'm answering it for you. I would uninvent bad politics.
But that's hard one to understand, Josh. But okay, for you, social media.
Okay, beautiful. Two more. What mistake did you learn from the most?
Ooh. Oh, for you. Going into business with someone who you didn't share the same values.
That's a big.
Okay, what about me?
Hey, oh, well, packing too much on a road trip.
There it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Hands down.
Last question. What is one thing in your career that you are most proud of?
One thing. for the other person.
Yes.
Okay. Getting to travel? No, that's not most thing you're proud of.
I think
Capturing really heartfelt emotion and documenting someone before they pass away, because they end up passing away and you take the last photo.
I think it's true for both of us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. See, that wasn't so hard, right? That was amazing. That was amazing. Listen, I can talk with the both of you all day long. This was so much fun.
I know.
A lot of the themes that I hear, and people need to go back and watch this over and over and over again, are mindset, mindfulness, curiosity, and just falling in love with people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what sounds like, you know, the core of what makes the both of you successful. And I'm so glad that you guys brought that to our listeners. So before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance. I want you to take some time and tell people, one, how they can find you, how they can learn from you, how they can work with you, where they can hear you speak. You talked about you had workshops coming up. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So josandtree.com, and that's Jos, no H, is our website. And then the socials are the same, Jos and Tree, all over across the board. And on our website has information.
Yeah, underneath we have an education section on our website, and you can see videos of us in action.
And there's more coming. More things are about to be announced.
Yes, yeah. We just finished that workshop in Mexico, which was so awesome because it was at a yoga retreat, and it was called Present Moment Retreat. And we're actually about to announce another workshop coming up that's radically different than that.
Yep. So stay tuned. And basically, if someone is interested in being mentored or attending one of our workshops, they can go to that part on our website and fill out the contact form. And we will get back to them. And then anyone that basically contacts us gets put into our newsletter, and they get the early announcements.
And we're also available for mentorship. So anybody that wants just one-on-one with us, we can guide you through a whole process where we do lots of one-on-ones with video chat sessions. And we can adapt to them at whatever level they want to go.
And we don't have any speaking engagements coming up. We've sort of took a step back to focus more on our workshops and being home after some busy travel time last year.
Well, that was partially due because of the pandemic.
Yes.
Although we did do a masterclass for U-Rock photographers during the pandemic.
And we've done some local speaking for some local groups, but I imagine next year we will be back on the speaking circuit. Yeah, because we miss people.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you again for your time. And listeners, thank you for watching another episode of Success by Design. Jos and Tree, you are absolutely amazing. I can't wait to hang out with you in person.
I know.
You're an amazing facilitator.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Have a nice one, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, ciao.